Yes, the government is trying to stop the circulation of the penny. They are also taking money away from you as we speak. So if you're not aware, the government is trying to pull the penny out of circulation. Now, what does this mean for you? Once they pull the penny out, they're going to go after everything else, and they're trying to make the American dollar vanish, and they're trying to make everything go digital. If you're not aware, the U.S. government currently has plans to disembowel, get rid of the penny, and they're claiming that it costs them $85 million a year in losses, and that they could save almost $65 million a year if they didn't do it. And this is because it cost them 3 cents to make the penny, but obviously the penny only actually has value of 1 cent, so they're losing that value, and they're claiming if they stop printing it, well, then they're going to gain money. And who doesn't want the government to have more money? Good stuff, right? So yeah, that's pretty much their whole argument. And, what does that mean for you? Well, if they stop producing the penny, then it's obviously going to get passed. It has support from both sides. When this happens, they're going to go after the next thing. What's the next thing? The nickel. The nickel costs more than 5 cents to produce, so they're going to go after the nickel next. And what happens when they get rid of the nickel? Because it'll also pass if the penny's getting removed, the nickel will also get removed. But once they get the nickel out, what do they go after next? They're going to keep on cutting costs to where the government has more and more money, and eventually they're just going to try to cut the printing cost to zero, and they're just going to make everything go digital. Now, why would they want everything to go digital? Well, that's a very good question. It's because they can track what you're buying. If you're not aware, when you use a credit or debit card, you are being tracked. Your purchase history is being tracked. And if your purchase history is being tracked, well, that leads to personalized, tailored ads to you. What capitalism is. It is the pinnacle of capitalism. That is what the government is trying to get to. You go out and buy something, and then it's connected to your phone. And then when you open up your phone, get on Safari or whatever, Google or whatever, you get an ad right in front of you of something that you just bought or something related to you just bought. And of course, if the government's going on digital, they're also going to have connections with these big companies, and they're also going to be able to see your search history. And if you go out and buy stuff for a pipe bomb, you're obviously going to get put on a watch list. Or if you go out and buy stuff at all the same store to buy methamphetamine, you're going to get put on a watch list. So what does this mean for you? You're pretty much taking away your right to use cash. You can no longer be not tracked. If you don't want the government seeing what you're buying, well, too bad. If they're taking all the money out of circulation and just using digital, they're tracking you for the rest of eternity. And not to mention, when they do this, this also hurts the impoverished class, because if you're not aware, the impoverished, the less fortunate people often use cash instead of, credit or debit to pay. So when they're taking this away from the less fortunate people, well, they're going to have to adapt, or they're going to have to die. So as always, the government is kind of pitting the less fortunate class in even more less fortunate positions. So yeah, pretty much that's the extent of what's going on. The government is trying to take the penny out of circulation. It probably will get taken out of circulation by 2026. And after they get the penny out, they're not going to stop. They're going to go after the nickel, then they're going to go after the quarter, then they're going to go after the dollar, then the $5, then the 20, then the 100. And they're going to say, it saved the government money. So if it saves the government money, it must be good, and it must be true, and we got to do it, and we got to cut it out. And, it's not going to be opposed. Who's going to oppose it? If it gets passed through Congress and the president signs it off, well, the people can't do anything about it. So you're pretty much stuck with what the government wants. And if the government wants to track you, they're going to end up tracking you one way or another. I'm sure they already do, and they're just going to be doing it more if the currency is all digital. So I'm not going to sit here and say that taking the penny out is good. I'm not going to sit here and say that taking the penny out is bad. All I'm going to say is that there's positives and negatives. Saving the government money, making the government spend less money. That's good stuff. Literally taking away money from the government people, rounding up or down. It is said that the new institutions, when this law is passed, that the penny is taken out of circulation, they're either going to have to round up or down. And if you're rounding down, well, you're taking away my hard-earned money. It might not seem like a lot. 2 or 3 cents might not seem like a lot, but over time, if you know anything about economics, it adds up and adds up and it adds up. So yes, you were literally, quite literally, if I pay with cash, you were taking away my money. The impoverished class, the less fortunate class, if they pay with cash, you are literally taking away money from poor people. The government is taking away money from poor people. It's going to them. It's going to the government. It's not going to the poor people. So yeah, this is obviously just more corruption by the government. This is obviously not good for the impoverished class, not good for the working American. And yeah, it's what the government wants. And they're going to go all the way. They're not going to stop with a penny. They're obviously going to go to the nickel next. And it's just going to be a continual chain. And it's never going to stop. And they're going to go all the way to digital currency. So that's gonna be about it for today. Always remember, there's always something the government's doing that they shouldn't be doing, and it's just your job to find that out. You're not able to do anything about it, but just got to bring notoriety to it. So that's gonna be it for today. Stay safe and stay hydrated.